Hello friends, this is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about an increasing and consistent desire for knowledge. When I was younger, in my late teens, I didn't know much about money or life, business, anything like that. And I was working at a place, and the owner of the company was worth many hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a very wise and intelligent man, worth a tremendous amount of money. And you'd hear grumblings from the employees there, complaining, oh, he's making us work a little bit longer. And yet, when they're working 8.5 or 9-hour days, this man was working 14, 16-hour days. But they were complaining because they had to work an extra 30 minutes or an hour longer. And so I started looking at that and taking note of what this man did that everyone else wouldn't do. They just complained. And he was working sometimes double the hours they were working, and they complained about working an extra 30 minutes, even though they're getting paid for it. It wasn't like they weren't getting paid. Just complaining. But what was interesting was, when he would come down at night and he would talk to me, and I was nobody, I was 18 years old, zero going on in my life. Nothing of substance, no reason to talk to me at all. Just say hi and good night and bye. But he noticed I was working on my computer. I had a little laptop at the time, and I was sitting there working because there's nothing else to do in this particular job. And he said, hey, you know something about computers? I said, I know a little bit. And he brought his computer down, and I would show him, he would buy pizzas and various food, have it delivered there, and I would teach him things about the computer, and he would teach me things about business. But it was interesting to see this man interact and how he did things and how he observed things. A man who had tremendous amounts of wisdom compared to me, and yet he's asking me questions, not just about the computer that he didn't know about, but about things he did know about. He would ask me questions, somebody who knew nothing, and get my opinion and why did I think a certain way about something. And it's one of the things I've noticed over the years is that people with large amounts of wealth and success in life generally tend to want to know and come to know things from other people. They never think they got everything figured out. They may be very wise and they may be very firm in some of their decisions, but they don't think they have everything figured out. There is that constant desire for knowledge and wisdom and growing in wisdom, growing in knowledge, using that knowledge in a wise way. And one of the things is, you see this, where the average worker is complaining about their bosses. The CEOs of those companies they work for reads 60 times more books than those people do. 60 times. They'll say, well, that boss is a know-it-all. They just think they have everything figured out. And yet the boss is the one constantly trying to learn and on a constant pursuit of knowledge, realizing that they don't know everything. And yet the foolish person that's working for that CEO is saying, well, I don't need to learn anything more. I went to college. Isn't that good enough? I did this, I did that. And they're not learning. They're at a standstill, and they don't realize that all the stuff they did learn is slowly fading away because they're not constantly renewing. It's like working out. You exercise, you're able to lift 300 pounds, but you stop for a year. You're not going to just walk right in there and start lifting 300 pounds again. You can build up faster to that point again, but it's going to take some time. And when you don't continue to learn, when your life is not constantly, daily, you learning and growing, my friends, you lose what you did have. And if you learn just one new thing today, you become a new person. You've created new synapses, and you now are a new person. And if you did that every day, if you're constantly learning new things every day, think of who you'll be at the end of the year. How much better, more educated, more well-rounded of a person you'll be compared to when you started the year. Now, this isn't meant to be some New Year's resolution. You should be doing this every day for the rest of your life. You should constantly be learning. And the most wealthy people will generally tend to ask the most questions. They're not the ones, the blabbermouths blabbing at a get-together. They're the ones listening, asking questions, humbly seeking other people's opinions on things and taking all that knowledge in to better improve themselves. And then when they do speak, they have a wealth of information to speak to people, and they can do it consistently and concisely because they have spent their entire lives learning and continuing to learn all the time. And they've humbled themselves, and they don't think that they're above other people's knowledge, that someone over here who's not at the point they are may have no knowledge, no wisdom they could possibly gain from them. And that's not true. You could learn from anybody, even the most humble and weak and unknowing person you could possibly meet could have a great piece of wisdom for you that could just explode into success and prosperity for you. For example, you could have someone just mention, they may know nothing, they may make bad decisions constantly, but they may say one thing about, I wish this product existed. And they name a product. They name something they wish could be fixed, a solution could be found for this particular issue they have. And that be something that could affect millions of people. And you create that solution and it becomes a multi-billion-dollar company. This happens all the time. People step in, they see a problem exist, and they fix that problem, and people desire it. And that becomes a great business. My friends, you have to consistently seek to know more, to become more than you are today. This isn't knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It isn't just to be someone who can win a trivia game. It's to know things that you can put together to build a better life and to help other people. In the end, if all the knowledge is going into your head and you're sitting around your house doing nothing all day and you're not getting things accomplished, that's useless. But when the knowledge is applied wisely to life, to business, to relationships, to everything you do, you will have a great and valuable life. And you can help other people to have that same great and valuable life. I know there's very few people that really want to improve themselves. They talk about it. They'll make little posts about it. They'll tell everybody how they're going to make these great changes, but then nothing happens because they realize real quickly that it requires some work. It requires some effort. It requires that you stop doing certain things that everyone else does, and it requires you start doing things that no one else does for the most part. Think of how much reading you're going to have to do compared to the average person reading one book a year if you're going to get up to the level of the CEOs who are reading up to 60 books a year. This is a huge change in your mentality, what you value. While the masses are valuing entertainment and something that distracts them from life, something that gets them thinking about something besides life, besides living, the successful people are focused on what matters most: their families, their business, their success, constantly improving, knowing that valuing themselves and investing in themselves and their education and intelligence. I'm not talking about college, but in just constantly educating yourself. You could have been out of college for 50 years. You should still be educating yourself. That shouldn't be the end of your education. Constant education and valuing yourself and realizing that you're the most important thing you can invest in. Not a stock, not bonds, not cryptocurrency, but yourself. When you invest in yourself, then you can better improve and invest in others. When you're powerless, when you're unwise, when you're foolish, you can't impart wisdom. You can't bless other people. But when you constantly improve yourself, you become a person of character. And that is one of the main things in life, is becoming a person of character who can then impart wisdom, who can bless people, who can be a giver, who can be a blessing to this world, and not just another person in this world following the lead of everyone else and accomplishing nothing of any substance or value. When people look at the end of their lives, they'll see someone of substance, while the masses have done nothing but existed and didn't even exist well. They just barely got by, and they just did the things to get by to the next point of entertainment, next point of sporting event, next point of music, next point of all these things just to be distracted from life. And you can be that person who is one of the 1%. I don't mean 1% as far as wealth goes, although you can obviously do that too. I mean one of the 1%, and if we're really being realistic here, probably the 0.1% that strives to become better every single day. That is not 99%. The 99% don't do that. The 99% whine about everybody else. They blame all their problems on everybody else. If they have any personal accountability, they still somehow wind up blaming someone else. They blame the government, they blame this, they blame that, they blame the weather, they blame their family, they blame their parents, they blame everything. But they're not getting better. Even if they come to the point of realizing things are their fault, their responsibility, they don't get better. You can be one of the rarest, most elite people on the planet if you'll become someone who is constantly improving every single day. It doesn't have to be huge, massive improvements. That's great if you can, but little tiny improvements over the course of a lifetime will make a great person of character. And that is not normal. That is not common. That is something peculiar and unique in individuals who will take that upon themselves to become the best they could possibly be. My friends, I pray it's been a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.